here with us today. She is a research fellow at the Independent Institute in Oakland, California, with a forthcoming book on the history of the United States Department of Education. She holds senior fellowships at the Fraser Institute, headquartered in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the Independent Women's Forum in Washington, D.C. She is also president and CEO of Vicki Murray and Associates, LLC in Scottsville, Arizona. Her research focuses on education reforms that promote a competitive education marketplace and increase parents' control over their children's education. She has advised the U.S. Department of Education on public school choice and higher education reform. She's also advised education policymakers in nearly 40 states and England, provided expert testimony before state legislative education committees, and served on 2 National Accountability Task Forces. So she's very well qualified, as I can tell you, and we're very appreciative to have her here and honored to have you. So if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Alger, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Senator Wilson, and thank you very much, members of the committee. I am, as Senator Wilson mentioned, a research fellow at the in Oakland at the Independent Institute, and I am also a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum in Washington, D.C., and I'm also very pleased to have been working with the Bluegrass Institute for Public Policy Solutions for nearly a decade now. I am very happy that this is my first ever visit to Kentucky, and I'm so thrilled that I'll be speaking with you today about parental choice in education. In fact, you should have an advanced copy of a report that I published with the Bluegrass Institute for Public Policy Solutions on how we can personalize learning for all Kentucky students through education savings accounts, or ESAs. I am also honored and humbled to be before this committee alongside parents, because in any public policy conversation affecting the education of children, their parents are the real experts. And it's also important to keep in mind just how much research there is on the effectiveness of parental choice in education. In fact, parental choice in education is one of the most extensively researched topics in education policy out there. Not that we'd know it for most media reports, unfortunately, that tell us that it's mixed or inconclusive. I will review just some of those research findings shortly, but I'd like to begin by assuring you that if all the doomsday, the sky is falling scenarios about parental choice in education were true, my home state, where I live, would be a cautionary tale. However, nothing could be farther from the truth. Since enacting expansive parental choice programs starting in the mid-1990s, several of our district public high schools are among the country's top 25, even though they spend nearly $2,300 less per pupil than Kentucky. Arizona charter public schools rank first or close to it each year on national rankings, and they get about $3,500 less per pupil than Kentucky. These achievements show just a little bit of what's possible with expansive parental choice programs like Arizona has. Specifically, 4% of all Arizona public school students right now are attending the district public schools of their parents' choice within or outside their resident district, thanks to mandatory statewide open enrollment. Arizona leads the nation in public charter school growth. In fact, nearly 1/3 of all Arizona public schools are charter schools, and nearly 1 out of 5 public school students in Arizona attends a public charter school. Arizona became the first state in 1997 to enact a tax credit scholarship program, and today we have 4 distinct programs offering more than 54,000 scholarships so parents can send their children to the private school they think is best for their child. Finally, Arizona became the first state in 2011 to enact educational savings accounts, or ESAs, and right now more than 1,300 children are benefiting from an education customized by the ones who know and love them best, their parents. ESAs are the latest advance in parental choice in education. By putting parents in charge of their children's education dollars, parents are customizing their children's, not just where children go to school, but how they are educated. Today, ESAs are also helping nearly 3,000 Arizona and Florida school children, and so far this year, ESA programs have been enacted in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Nevada. Several more states will likely follow suit in the coming months, and given the many benefits of ESAs, it's understandable why. First, ESAs are easy to use. The concept behind ESAs is simple. Parents who do not prefer a public school for their child simply inform the state education agency or their local school district. Parents must sign a contract promising not to enroll their children in a public school, and the state deposits at least 90% of the formula funding it would have spent into an ESA for that child instead, along with any statutory weighted formula funding. Parents receive a type of dedicated use debit card that they can use to purchase authorized educational services, including private school tuition, homeschool curricula, online courses, tutoring, testing fees, and special education services. Any leftover funds in a child's ESA roll over from one year to the next for future education expenses, including college. Second, ESAs offer unlimited choices. ESAs personalize learning to unprecedented levels. More than 1/3 of Arizona parents right now who are using ESAs don't just use their child's ESA funds for a private school or a home school or an online school. They are also buying customized tutoring, recompensatory education, and they are also buying special education therapies and services that their child needs to succeed. Third, ESAs are popular. Fully 100% of Arizona ESA parents report being satisfied with the program, with 71% report being very satisfied. Not one Arizona parent said that they were dissatisfied with any aspect of the program. The rapid expansion of ESAs also shows there is growing demand for more personalization in education. Since 2011, Arizona has expanded its original ESA program, which was limited to children with special needs, to include more students, such as those in failing schools, those from the foster care system, children of active duty members who reside in the state, or whose military parents were killed in the line of duty. ESAs can also be used by children who reside on Indian reservations. The program is so popular, it has roughly doubled in size each year since its enactment. Florida was the second state to enact ESAs for special needs students in 2014. There is such strong demand for the program that its state legislature recently passed enhancements so that the program size is going to triple. The enactment of ESAs in Mississippi, neighboring Tennessee, and Nevada earlier this year further demonstrates their popularity. In fact, Nevada's program stands out because unlike any other ESA in existence, all public school children are eligible, not just those with special needs or with special circumstances. And if recent polling results are any indication, there's powerful demand for ESAs in other states as well. A national poll released by the Democratic Beck research firm in January found that close to 7 out of 10 likely American voters agree that they want parental choice in education and believe that competition improves public schools. Another nationally representative poll released this June indicates that close to 2 out of 3 Americans favor ESAs. Importantly, that support jumps to 3 out of 4 Americans ages 18 to 34. And support for ESAs is strong across the political spectrum, with 60% or more of both Democratic and Republican respondents saying they favor parental choice in education, and that jumps to more than 2/3 of independents. In Kentucky, a recent survey by the Black Alliance for Educational Options found that 9 out of 10 African American voters agree with the statement that government should be working to expand educational options for parents. Not only are ESAs popular, they are fiscally responsible. ESAs put parents directly in charge of their children's education funding, and they must account for every expenditure, down to the last penny. ESA funds are distributed quarterly, and parents must submit quarterly expense reports with receipts for verification. Regular account monitoring and audits help prevent misspending. If parents misuse funds, they forfeit their child's ESA and they must repay any misused funds or face legal prosecution. Although the reporting requirements are strict, complying with them is about as complicated as balancing the family checkbook. And in addition to the structural accountability, ESAs incentivize responsible stewardship and fiscal discipline. Unlike many government agency accounting schemes that we see that encourage a use it or lose it spending spree near the end of any given fiscal year, because ESAs allow parents to roll over unused funds from one year to the next, it incentivizes parents to find the best programs for their children at the best prices, especially because those funds can be conserved ultimately to pay for future education expenses such as college. Finally, ESAs pass constitutional muster. Recent unsuccessful legal challenges to ESA programs in Arizona and Florida confirm that ESAs are constitutional for several reasons. First, ESAs are neutral with regard to religion because they make a variety of educational options available to parents, and they, not government, do the choosing. Second, ESAs do not run afoul of constitutional religious aid bans or blame amendments because funds are for the benefit of students, not schools, and no ESA funds are ever directed by government to any particular education provider. Third, state courts have made clear that ESA students do not forfeit their rights to a free public education because if they leave the ESA program, they can re-enroll in a public school at any time. Finally, the courts have rejected out of hand the notion that parental choice programs like ESAs harm public schools, students, or teachers, as opponents have claimed, by draining money. These state court rulings regarding ESAs reflect recent U.S. Supreme Court rulings upholding publicly funded voucher scholarships and privately funded taxpayer scholarships. While ESAs may be the latest innovation in educational choice, they rest on a solid foundation of scientific research showing that putting parents in charge works. Research consistently shows that parental choice improves academic outcomes of participating students, most of whom are disadvantaged. In fact, 13 out of 14 gold standard random assignment studies to date have found that disadvantaged children, including low-income and minority children, who are allowed to use scholarships to attend the schools their parents think are best, perform better in reading and math, have higher high school graduation rates, higher college attendance rates, and higher college completion rates. And by college, I mean 4-year degrees. No study to date has ever demonstrated negative impacts on students' academic outcomes. Moreover, that one study that found no impact was subsequently discredited for its unscientific methodologies. Once researchers from Harvard University reran their data, it showed statistically significant improvements in student academic performance. Parental choice programs also introduce competition for students and their associated funding, putting powerful pressure on public schools to perform, thereby benefiting public school students as well. Pardon me. In fact, Researchers from Columbia University Teachers College reviewed more than 200 scientific analyses, and they concluded that competition benefits public schools, quote, across all outcomes. These include higher student achievement, higher graduation rates, better school efficiency, higher teacher salaries, and smaller class sizes. Education economics research also shows that simply letting parents pick their children's public schools is, quote, the most powerful market force in American public education. Specifically, it increases school productivity up to 28% without spending a penny more. In fact, letting parents pick their children's public and private schools yields the same math improvement as increasing per pupil funding by almost $3,500 or increasing median household income by almost $8,900. ESAs maximize the positive effects of existing public and private parental choice programs, since a greater number and variety of education providers can compete to meet children's unique educational needs. And using public dollars for private education providers is not an earth-shattering idea. Currently, nearly 9 million college students nationwide are spending more than $32 billion in federal Pell Grant funds to attend the higher education institutions of their choice, public or private, non-sectarian and religious alike. In fact, right now, more than 42,000 Kentucky undergraduate students are spending more than $150 million in public funds to attend the private and proprietary post-secondary institutions of their choice. In just a few years, most of these students will likely graduate and become parents themselves. However, they will be largely prevented from picking the elementary, middle, and high school programs they prefer for their children. Of course, once those children become 18, they will be allowed to use public funds again for their personal higher education choices. In conclusion, ESAs expand the kind of personal learning options that have long been available for higher education students, but not for school-age children. Every student, regardless of his or her circumstances, should have the opportunity for personalized learning. Education savings accounts are easy to use, offer unlimited choices, are really popular, fiscally responsible, and they pass constitutional muster. There is no good reason Kentucky school children should be denied the kind of learning opportunities ESAs make possible, because all Kentucky children deserve a personalized education customized by those who know and love them best. Mr. Chairman, Senator Wilson, that concludes my remarks. Thank you and the committee once again for the opportunity to testify on behalf of ESAs. I would be happy to answer any questions you or any members might have.